like boobies. You like boobies. Vicky likes boobies.
You're tacky and I hate you.
Now, are there any damn questions?
Have you any idea what the street value of this mountain is?
This is a nice fish, you know? Big fucking eyes, but a nice fucking fish.
Welcome, gentle listener, to the inaugural episode of Inside the Nerdaties Studio, a wholly original concept that is not derivative of anything at all. And when I describe it to you, you're going to go, holy shit, why has no one thought of this before? What we're going to do, at least 5 times, maybe even more if we like the whole format, we're going to take an individual on the show and go through their history with nerddom, with pop culture-tude, with all the things we like. Kind of lay out their biography as it pertains to comics, movies, video games, and the like. Like, you've never heard anything like this before, right? You've never seen anything like this.
According to our lawyers, no, they haven't.
No, not even a little bit. I'm James Lipton. I'm Mike.
Mark for edit.
I will be hosting this segment, joined every once in a while by this is the first time ever you're not the last name.
Joe?
Yeah, because the topic today. We only have 3 people right now. Who knows who else is coming in? The topic today, the subject is the one, the only, thankfully,
Justin Patterson.
That's right.
This is your life.
Mm-hmm. This is your nerdy life. So, my first question is, what is the first genre story you remember seeing, be it film or television?
Shit.
It's always hard stuff.
So I've been thinking about this, and I have to say, the 2 things that kind of are like neck and neck. I can't remember which one I had watched first, but both were like the things at the time. It was either Transformers or Star Wars. Like very, very, very first things.
Obviously, Star Wars is the movie. Transformers would be the show or the feature film?
I'm assuming the show. More of the toys more than anything. But that led to the show.
Yeah. Because they really were a toy that got some kind of story.
Yeah.
Ish. Now, was it love at first sight, or was it something else that really drew you in?
So with Star Wars, I thought it was interesting, like, as a, 4 fucking 5-year-old would, right? It was like, laser swords, here's the cool furry guy. But I didn't get anything deep out of it until later in life. And Transformers were just fucking cool. Like, it was a toy that turned into another toy.
The robot that turns into a building.
Yeah.
I don't get it. Knowing you as I do, though, Star Wars and Transformers are all well and good. As a child, there was nothing more important to you than Ghostbusters.
It's true.
Speak to us, either emotionally or unemotionally, which would be very boring, about why Ghostbusters is so interesting to you.
I don't know. As an adult now, watching it every year, around this time of year, I'm not sure what hooked me as a child, except for I like comedy. I like funny people. I guess I've always liked spooky shit. Again, a toy line helped. And so did the tie-in cartoon. But, the movie came first before I even watched the cartoon. So I don't know. It just was a thing. Like, it hooked me.
And it's odd that you could show it to a kid, but it wouldn't be my first choice.
It's, again, I don't understand it. Like, because I showed James Ghostbusters when he was younger, right? Not that into it. Now, sure. Zach, I'm positive once I play it this year, we'll give two squirts about it.
You can't read that kid.
No,
you never know what he's into.
He is a literal force of nature.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, I don't get it. I really don't know what it was. And it wasn't like, I'm sure that my mom and dad showed me, knowing my father, Ken, like, Bill Murray fan, of course. So, like, yeah, of course he would play, they would rent Ghostbusters or whatever. And then, like, I wore down a copy of that VHS. And I don't get it. Like, that explains a lot about me, I guess, just being a fucking weirdo.
Do you think his enjoyment of it colored your enjoyment of it? Like, wanting to be like the male figure, the father figure in your life, his love for a guy like, or his enjoyment for that kind of humor?
I think I was too
eyes onto it more. I
think I was too young to even realize his, like, association with Bill Murray. I really can't. A lot of it, I think, has to do with, when we're young. I think I see Zach do it a lot now, where he'll, like, act out episodes of things, and I think it was a very, like, it's very fantasy based thing to, like, play as a kid, right? Especially if you have the toys. You have the, you're acting out a sequence in a movie that's about ghosts that may or may not be actually real. And it's just the whole, like, of course that it's kind of tilted towards a child because it's a comedy, right? It's not a horror movie. If you took out the comedic aspects of it, it'd be scary as shit.
Yeah. It kind of teeters on that edge.
It does. Like, even as a comedy, the whole Dana's apartment thing, the first, when she sits down in that chair and she gets groped by the demon dog hands and pulled into a fucking refrigerator that's got a pyramid in it, that's comedy or not. That is still visually scary. But yeah, I can't for the life of me now figure out what was wrong with me.
Right. All right.
Oh, it's all right. Like, it's clearly created the person that I am now.
Besides your father, who in your life supported your love for this type of stuff the most?
Like, Ghostbusters or my love for, like, cinema?
Genre. All around. Like, cinema, not specifically, but cinema plays a huge part in who we are.
I could, if we look at it as in movies, I can easily break that down. So, like, my love of movies comes from three people specifically. My dad. He's a big influence on the comedies that I like. He's the one who got me into Star Wars. That led into, like, Back to the Future and Indiana Jones. My mom, who, even though she was a pretty funny person, all the Disney movies come from her. My love of musicals comes from my mom. My love for cheesy romantic movies, even though she didn't watch, like, the completely horrendous ones like my wife does, that comes from her as well. And my grandfather, he is a huge Steve Martin fan. Always has been, always will be. Like, old school SNL shit, like anything. So he influenced a lot of my comedic upbringings. A lot of westerns, like a lot of the live action Disney stuff, like the Apple Dumpling Gang and Pete's Dragon, and Swiss Family Robinson, those kinds of things. Like that was his bread and butter, was like old school movies like that. So that's why I have such like a distinct, multifaceted taste of movies. And because of that, and just being young, and in the time that we grew up in, and I firmly stand by the statement I'm about to make. From the mid-'80s to the late 90s was the greatest run of cartoons that's ever been.
The consistency was pretty mind-blowing.
We talk about it a lot, but like Tubi has... I've been deep diving back into my childhood.
Yeah.
And Zach is hooked on a pup named Scooby-Doo. Absolutely will stop what he does now when the theme song comes on and dance. And then he'll watch the episode. Like, as long as he watches anything else, he's 2. He doesn't sit for a whole thing. But it keeps attention. Reboot, I watched... Cosmic High, I think? Or it's the one with, like, the 2 Earth kids end up going to a fucking high school in the middle of space, and there's, like, a bunch of aliens and shit. She's a cheerleader, he's a jock.
Oh, I love that show.
Yeah, that's on Tubi.
Is it now?
It is.
Well, slap my ass. I'm going to have to look for that. Cosmic High? Yeah. They go there and he expects to be
Cosmic
super
High
cool and hardcore, but it's totally different, so he's got to figure out how to fit in.
Yeah. Captain N, the Game Master, is on there. Fucking love Captain N.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like, they just... All this, The Bump in the Night was a claymation show that was on ABC. Robbie Paulson was on there. Why am I blanking? Winnie the Pooh.
Cummings? Taker 2?
Yes. Cummings.
Jim Cummings.
So, dude, I've just been falling back into a hole. The Alf cartoons on there.
The Origins of Shumway.
The Ace Ventura cartoon is on there.
That was a thing.
Okay.
Sure was.
Yeah.
They're not all hits, but, like, consistently good.
Variety, at the very least. Piggybacking off of that, who, if any, would try to dissuade you from spending your time on these things?
No one.
Good.
There was not a person in my life that has ever been like, that's stupid. All I like, is going to sound like woe is me, but it's not. Because we moved from Toms River to Barnegat when I was, like, young, I didn't have, like, a bunch of friends early on. So, like, all I did have was, like, I read a lot. I had toys. I watched movies and shows. Like, entertainment has always been the thing, right? I used to doodle a lot, write shit. Before I was even, like, aware of what writing was, my grandparents used to have a typewriter, and I used to write stories, type up stories. Then I would, like, tell them what the story says.
What age?
Young. 4, 5.
Putting down actual words?
Maybe 3 or 4. It was young. Not a lot of actual words. It was just a lot of nonsense. Some word in there, like small words.
Still pretty impressive. Now, moving ahead in time, into the early 90s, Power Ranger fever hits, and you are the prime age to be influenced by it. Where does this series fall in your pantheon of pop culture?
on a personal level, I hold it pretty high. Now, I understand the American version of Power Rangers is just a rip of Super Sentai, the Japanese show. Going back and watching some of it recently, and not the new special, I mean like the old series is available to watch on Netflix. It doesn't necessarily hold up. Like, you watch it and you're like, it's kind of not great acting. It's not the worst. I have seen stuff from our childhood that is just, you put it on for a few minutes and you're like, oh, okay, well, what was I thinking? And you turn it off. It's not that bad. I, of course, had the toys, but that, yeah, I mean, like, it hit when we were in 5th grade, right, Joe?
Mm-hmm.
And it was the height of everything then. Like, it was the thing. So I don't know if it's in my top 10 favorite things. Like, if we're going to talk about fictional intellectual properties, it's close though. It would come close.
It sounds like a thing of its time. Like, it's very much rooted in that era, and there's strong nostalgia for it. It brings you back to that point.
Yeah.
But doesn't necessarily have the hooks to hold you forever.
No.
Justin, what if I say cheese?
Cheese?
Cheese.
Is that a Capital Critters reference?
That is definitely a Capital Critters reference.
That was a great show. That was way ahead of its time.
Which, who knows? Could be on Tubi. They have everything.
I haven't seen it yet. But I would watch the fuck out of it.
Yeah.
The 90s, if we're going to stay in that era, was also a boom time for comic books, specifically Marvel and DC. Was that the point that you started to get into it, or?
So, it's funny, because, like, comics and wrestling has a very, like, similar line in my life, right? So when I was young, we went to wrestling shows and shit. And same thing when I was, I'd say around 6 or 7, you would always get those, like, you know, like D.E. Jones or Woolworth would sell, like, the pack of comics that were, like, a collection of 4 or 5 different things. And, like, that's where my comic book reading went there. Then it would die off for a little bit. And then the Batman the Animated Series and the X-Men Animated Series would come out. And both of those things would spark my love of superheroes again. And the Marvel trading cards were a thing. And man, did I have a fuck ton of those. And I'm mad because I don't know where they are right now. I had that really cool foiled Phoenix they had.
For the first series?
Yeah.
Were those the Skybox cards?
I don't think so. That was... I want to say it was Topps or Fleer.
I have a bunch of them in a box in my storage area. I was just looking at them like a month ago. I can't remember who made them.
But they were incredible. The artwork on those were incredible. And then, like, you know, trade with some friends, try to, like, you know, I'll trade you this Bishop for, like, you know, that Cable or who the fuck's Domino. Then that got me back into reading them for a bit. And then not much for a while. I'd get most of my comic, like, info of what's going on from you. And then I think right around junior year of high school is when I started realizing collected editions were in libraries. And for a long time, that's how I would catch up on, like, you know, past events. And then piece together what was going on currently with you. And then I'd say for the last, 15 years, I've been pretty regular in reading. If not from stuff you give me, Comixology, or when DC had its own app before that got shut down.
Bring up a good point. An invaluable resource, listener. If you kind of want to read comics but don't want to spend money, visit a library. They always have a really good section of graphic novels and collected editions.
Yeah.
And unlike Barnes & Noble, no one will give you the stink eye if you just sit there.
That's true. But Barnes & Noble is like a porn shop now. When I go in there.
Toy porn.
It's not even just toy porn. It's just like, I've always loved reading. So I go in there and I'm like, oh, check this out. We went into the Barnes & Noble in Brick a few weeks ago because Zach had a gift card, and we got him a couple books and a couple, like, learning toys and flashcards and stuff. And, like, we walk in, and the little setup they had in the vestibule was, like, 9 books on, like, different cultures' mythology, and I stopped. And I was like, oh, fuck.
They always load the vestibule with some really quick but interesting stuff.
Yeah. And I was like, I want all 9 of these fucking books. Like, mythology was a big thing. I always loved that. I'll throw that back down to my mom for getting me into Clash of the Titans.
Oh, another 80s classic.
Clash of the Titans is responsible for all of my love of mythology and sword and sorcery shit.
And stop motion.
Yeah. That and California Raisins.
We watched that in 6th grade.
I've watched that at least every year of my life since I've been like 4.
Damn.
My mom, every time it was on, she would just leave it on. Or, like, if she knew it was coming on, she would leave it. And we'd watch it, like, every fucking time. But that fed into, like I said, I read a lot. So I spent a lot of time in a library at school, or, like, after school, we would go, and I would just mythology books and urban legend books. And that got into, like, scary stories to tell in the dark. Or, like, any of the... Anybody remember the books that were, like, solid black cover except for a small picture in the middle, and it was like UFOs or ghosts or Bigfoot or Loch Ness Monster?
Were those the Time Life ones?
I don't know if they were Time Life or not, but, like, I read every, like, the, like, Psychic Powers one, like, everything.
I'm pretty sure that was the Time Life series that had the commercials where you would get them on, like, a monthly basis. And you would have that encyclopedic collection that you're like, hey, check out my nerd wall.
Just, like, fucking just would go through all those things. So, like, you know, in high school, I even took a mythology class.
Mysteries of the Unknown was the series.
That's it.
Oh my god, my dad had one of those. I remember bringing it to school. It was like the weird pyramid one.
Yeah.
Mystic Places. There it is. Holy shit.
Yeah,
Am I right? Was that a Time Life thing?
I'll be diving this a little further. Get back to you on that one in a moment.
While you were producing, I want to touch back on something that I foolishly didn't put in my notes, but it's an integral part of who you are. Wrestling.
Yes.
Wrestling. Joe has an information?
Yes, you are correct, Mike. It is a Time Life series.
Look at that, everybody.
Yeah.
That's
I
hive
was
mind
very much
shit
alive
right
in the
there.
80s. So, wrestling goes back for you as far as Ghostbusters,
Yes.
if not farther.
But there is a massive break. So we, like I said, we would go and we would see some of the guys when I was super little wrestle locally where we lived. And then I dropped out as I got older. Like, once I hit, like, 6, there was nothing, it wasn't... That was about the end of wrestling for me until I was about 14. And all my friends were watching the Monday Night Wars at the time. And I would just rag on them. Which is rich coming from, like, the nerdiest kid at the fucking table who's, like, going home playing Legos, playing Legend of Zelda, reading about Dungeons and Dragons.
Let's not forget, anything that's different than what you like in this world,
Of course.
is stupid.
Yeah.
It applies to everything.
It's just like, it's a bunch of dudes, you know, running around, grabbing each other's asses in tights. Like,
What's not to love?
well, yeah, of course. Then, I went over to my friend's house one Monday night. I think because my parents were going to be late from something, and they were like, "You're 12, we don't want you home by yourself for like 3 hours." I was like, okay. Hung out at his house. Just so happens that it's 8 o'clock, Nitro starts. And he turns on WCW. And I catch my first Goldberg match. And I'm like, wait, that was it? It was like fucking 20 seconds? I'm like, are they all fucking like this? And he's like, no. And the next would be it was Rey Mysterio versus, and I want to say it was probably Psychosis or one of the other luchadors, but like my first actual wrestling match back to watch was a lucha match, and I was fucking hooked. And I was like, holy shit, this is so cool.
Let's not forget, when we were kids, there was nothing like Lucha Libre on mainstream wrestling.
No.
That speed didn't exist. Vince wouldn't allow it.
And I was like, holy fuck. Like, okay, you won me over with this. Let's continue to watch. And then you see stupid shit. You're like Buff Bagwell and stuff. But being young, you laugh at some of the fun characters that they had. And then I remember I started watching Nitro on my own then. After that. And we would talk about it. And he's like, did you watch Raw? I'm like, no. I don't know if I can watch both. Or, you know, like, I kind of like it's like, there's a dude there. He looks like Goldberg, but he's not as big. But his matches are better. I was like, I guess. Hey, so I turn on an episode of Raw, and it was right around the time that I think it was the episode where Austin had Vince in handcuffs, and he had the gun to his head.
That's a seminal moment.
And there's the old Bang 316. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? And then, then WWF got its hooks in me, and I started watching both. And I'd flip back and forth between commercials, because that was the thing, kids. There was no DVRs and shit at the time.
No, it wasn't.
And, like, my parents were not letting me VHS record one while I'm watching the other one. It wasn't happening. But then, wrestling's been a huge part. To the point where we started a backyard wrestling federation. Again,
how quickly did that happen after you got back in?
Pretty fucking quick. Him and my friend and his cousin had already been doing it on and off, and they're like, oh, adding a third would be great so we don't have to be like everybody. But it does, like, take a mental toll on you when you spend, like, hours a day every day for an entire summer pretending to be, like, 20 different people. It helped me get over some social anxiety just because I realized that playing a character is way easier than just confronting things as myself. So that led into my intro into getting into plays. Because I had tried when I was a little younger, but like Joe and I were in improv together, right?
We were in improv drama. We were in drama every year in middle school.
Yeah. Every year. And that helped with wrestling because it was learning acting skills. So every year, progressively through middle school and high school, like, promos would be better. My writing was always good, but, like, it got, like, more theatrical. There was a point where, and I swear to God it was real, where we would do storylines in our Fed and like an episode or two later, like 2 weeks later from us doing something, would appear on WWE television. And like, it was, at first it was kind of funny and it seemed just coincidental. 15 fucking times one summer. The same shit happened. So I say they were watching us and stealing our footage. But wrestling helped a lot. Again, it all comes down to fantasy and play, right? Like, it's all acting. It's all, like, everything I love has stemmed from just make-believe. I tried, like I said, I like to doodle a lot as a youngin', but, like, my hands are too hard. They're too heavy. Mike can verify this. I don't have the light touch for the drawings. So I'm like much more physical with my hands, so wrestling was cool. Writing's always been good because, again, like, I don't have to have a light touch to write or to, you know, as technology grew as I got older, to type. Because for a long time, kids, you didn't have like word processing equipment at home. You like actually had to write stuff by hand.
We used to have journals.
Yeah. I think that's why I do a physical copy of the notes for the shows every week. Because it's just, for 18 years, that's what we did. That's what I had. You know, we had, not just for school, but for like, anytime I would write something on my own for fun, or especially when we were doing wrestling, like, we would do our show breakdowns were in a journal. But yeah, wrestling, mythology, sword and sorcery, cartoons, movies, and I don't know because if you're going to touch on it or not, but anime became a huge influence in my life.
If we must.
I figured.
I think there's someone here who gives a shit about anime now. We have Kyle joining us. Hey. There you go. Hello.
You included, sir, watched anime at a very young stage in life. Voltron was anime, but even if we didn't know it at the time when we watched it.
The visual style was just something so weird compared to the animation we had.
Yeah, but I think that's why it hooked me, because it looked so much better than ours.
It was crisp in a lot of ways, but in some other ways it wasn't as fluid. So just that oddity to it would draw you in.
Like, that was Voltron. It got better, and I feel like Western cartoons took a fucking turn for the worse once they hit like mid 2000s. I feel like that's when cartoons got super lazy over here, but anime has only gotten prettier.
Western cartoons have had ups and downs. Let's not forget the Hanna-Barbera laziness.
That's what it's true.
In the 70s? Yes.
Yeah, but even that, compared to like some of the stuff of today, still looks better.
Well, now they're leaning quite a bit on the hand-drawn look, but done digitally.
Yeah.
That can seem cheap if it's not done.
It does look...
Not every show is Bluey.
No. Bluey's gorgeous.
Bluey's using everything properly.
Yes. But then, like... So, like, I didn't know then what anime was. And then, we've talked about this moment before, but, like, Joe and I grew up in the fucking boonies. Right? Joe, you can...
Yeah, the Pineys.
Yeah.
Barnaghetto.
So, back then, I think it was a good 4 or 5 years I lived there before we got, like, Comcast came through and, like...
Adelphia.
Yeah, it was Adelphia. Before Comcast came through, it was just like, here's all the fucking channels. So, like, it was very basic for a very long time there.
13.
And then
13 channels. Good luck.
They dropped like, here's 120, and you're like, fuck. And then I'm like, what is the Sci-Fi Channel? And life changed there, especially when on Saturday mornings they used to play a block of anime movies. So like that was my second intro to it, but like knowing what anime was at the time. So I was in middle school, and they would play like Revolutionary Girl Utena and some of the like maybe some of the Mobile Suit Gundam movies, and I was just like, oh, this is fucking great. It's cartoons. I love cartoons, but they're drawn so well, and this is like more of an adult story. There's blood, there's killing, there's fucking tits. And I'm like, this is great. And then Dragon Ball Z comes out in the States, dubbed. And I was like, this is awesome. Toonami becomes a thing on Cartoon Network. And Sailor Moon. And I was just like, this is fucking incredible. I love anime because it's something I love from my childhood, which is a cartoon. But it's addressed in an adult way. But not all the time, like, over the top adult. Like, there's a lot of different storytelling styles. So, like, Mike assumes most anime is, like, crazy, but, like, there's some very good, serious stuff out there. He's even watched, like, Samurai Champloo, right? Gorgeous, right? Great story.
There are a handful of animes that I have a lot of love for.
Yeah.
But there's just so much out there and so little time, I'm not willing to even give them a chance anymore. There's so many other things I'd rather be doing.
I watch a fuck ton of anime now. More so than I think maybe like 15 years ago. It's way more easily available everywhere. Hulu has got in it great library.
There's a whole app devoted to it.
I have
now.
Crunchyroll,
There's
yeah.
2 apps devoted to it. Am I right? Or did they all combine into one?
Crunchyroll, I think, bought Funimation.
Okay.
So it's one. But I have it all. It's all there. I don't sleep a lot. So when she's asleep and like tossing and turning, which in turn makes me not able to fall asleep, I'm glad that I have all these things to watch, because it's not like I can get into a movie. I do get tired. I like things in smaller bits, like half hour, 45-minute stuff before bed. So that's why I do watch a lot of anime, and some of it's silly, but like Food Wars, right? Of course, there's crazy moments, but like as a chef, right? It is one of the best cooking shows / movies I've ever watched. Like, technique-wise, presentation of, like, the art of cooking, the attention to detail they put in for a fucking cartoon to make everything look beautiful, I give it up to them. But yeah, anime's been a big influence. Board games, video games. Like I said, I didn't have much of an outside social life.
One of the overlaps that we both hold dear is horror movies.
Fucking love horror movies.
And quite often we have a lot of love for the same ones. Is there one type of horror you hold higher than any other else? Any other?
I don't think I can say yes to that, because there comes a point where like specific genres reach that like it's overplayed factor. You know what I mean? Like, because I can't say slasher, because there's certain slasher movies that are fucking dog shit, and there's certain slasher series that just shit the bed at a certain point. It's the same thing like demonic possession stuff. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. I can tell you my top 3 favorite horror movies for very different but specific reasons. The Conjuring, because it's based on, and I'll do this for Mike, real life experience of the Warrens. I believe in it. Then there's Monster Squad, which holds up beautifully, deep place in the heart, and it is a horror movie. It's a young person's horror movie.
Classic horror
Sure.
in the universal sense.
Yes. And third for me is Cabin in the Woods, because I think it might be the most perfect horror movie.
Thank you. I was expecting that. I would have said if you didn't that name, because it really is the epitome of horror.
Yeah, it's perfection. Like it is. Yeah. It is a perfect movie.
I just put it on the other day, and
James gets to watch it this year.
Yeah, I was just going to say, this is the year.
Yes.
It's got to happen.
Yes.
Because quite often we'll show him movies, and he no-sells it. There is no fucking way he's going to no-sell this movie.
You know why? Because it's not necessarily, like, super scary. And it acknowledges that, and I think he's going to appreciate that about the movie.
It's just the right amount of gore, just the right amount of reference, but so perfectly put together.
Yes.
So well crafted that you can't, if you have any love for horror and any knowledge of horror, that's the only concern I have. He might not understand all the references, but that doesn't matter.
He's gone far enough now with the classics that a lot of it he'll be like, oh yeah, that. Yeah. Like, of course he hasn't seen anything like The Hills Have Eyes, because I'm not comfortable having him watch that until he's a bit older.
Hellraiser. There's a very specific Hellraiser reference a couple times in it. It'll go over his head. But that was the one thing, watching that scene, I realized it doesn't matter. The rest of the references all hold up, and the concept of it is so well done that he'll be able to get it. Okay. That covers horror, and I think it covers it well. My last question, before I give it to the crowd, was there ever a point when you considered putting childish things aside and focusing strictly on more grown-up pursuits?
No. For a very good reason. So, like, it's going to go backstory here. So, my dad, who I've mentioned several times, is my stepfather, but I consider them my father because my real dad, whatevs.
Cut loose. I know you want to.
Yeah, I mean, I was so happy with how awkward I made the group chat last night.
Yeah, and I was asleep when you texted me.
I figured you were. I figured you were, and I was like, "Oh my god, come on!" But yeah, like, he disappeared. He never reached out himself. His family did, within the last couple of years, and it's a weird situation. The man that I know as my father is the man who's been there for me as long as I can remember. He always was. He comes from a large family. And he can be a goof, but he's, like, very serious a lot of the time. Now, not so much. Now that he's older, he just doesn't give a shit, which is great. And my grandfather, if anybody's ever had the ability to spend just even the smallest amount of time with the man, you will realize that where I get my immaturity, I guess.
Immaturity with the face of maturity.
Yes. Is from him. Like, he's that dude that absolutely, when the moment calls for it, is the clearest head in the room. Like, I don't want to, but I'm going to take control of this situation because I think if I don't, no one else is going to step up or the wrong person will. But also, the man that I've known ever since I can remember that would come home from working on a train all day, heat up his dinner in the microwave, chat with me while he would get himself comfortable, eat, and then we would sit there and watch Looney Tunes cartoons, or just like talk about or do silly things. And that was my father figure for a long time before my dad came into the picture with my mom, or even while they were dating, because they did that for a while. And like that is how I wanted to like model myself, right? So I think I do a pretty decent job. I have my dad's roughness, some could say, but like also I try to combine that with my grandfather's ability to just be like, yeah, I'm just gonna sit here and play Legos with the kids, or want to watch something that I used to watch as a kid that I loved, and like, you know, still have that like childlike wonder for life.
Well put. Joe, do you have any questions from the crowd?
Sure. So a couple years ago, Justin and I were in the kitchen at a restaurant, and we'd be playing Disney songs.
Couple.
Justin, what are your top... a decade ago. What are your top 3 Disney songs that we sang, that we serenaded the patrons of the restaurant?
Oh, yeah, okay. Top 3? Okay. Well, number 1 was Always Part of Your World, because I can hit the high note. Let's see. This is tough.
You knew I was going to ask a Disney-related question.
Yeah, we sang a lot, so I gotta think of the ones that I really enjoy that would like throw people off. Dream is a wish your heart makes. And we worked in an Italian restaurant, so I'd be lying if I didn't say Bella Notte.
It's very fitting.
Yeah. Yeah, those early bird crowds.
No, they would. Woo! I didn't know I was that loud. Until I think it might have been like the 3rd or 4th time. And one of our counter girls is like, you are aware that like everybody can hear you when you're singing, right? And I was like, oh, good. And that didn't stop me.
Nope, it continued.
Well, at least it wasn't cursing. Well, not that I know.
That happened later in the night. Joe had a file of every song ever to date on South Park.
Oh, yeah.
Every song. So, like,
my God.
It would be like 9:45, and like the last few people are trying to like stumble out of the dining room, and like from the kitchen you'd hear me and Joe singing "Gay Fish."
I forgot all about that.
It's a motherfucking gay fish.
I was such a like downloading nerd back then. I had
great.
Every song.
It was so good. Our boss's wife would walk back there and she'd just be shaking her head like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any other queries, Joe, or should we go into this completely new questionnaire that no one's ever brought up before?
Come on, Joe. Dig deep. I know you got questions.
Yeah.
I've never actually seen your sister naked.
Yeah.
Good.
Going for like 3+ decades. There's got to be something in there.
Think of your fandom. Think of your fandoms too. You know I'm a fan of a lot of the stuff you're a fan of.
Oh, I know. I was gonna say in the realm of Disney.
Of course you are.
Well, 'cause Justin's Disney knowledge definitely rivals my own.
I read a lot.
rivals your own. Wait, does that mean you think your knowledge is better than his?
No, Justin and I are on the same page. We are on the same level.
I can agree to that.
I'll allow it. But you're on thin ice.
Justin, if you could bring back one classic ride from Disney World, what would it be? One.
Dude,
only one.
Horizons, without a fucking doubt. Didn't even take long to process.
That was a question recently on the other show, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I believe that was your first answer on the other
Horizons
show.
was the best fucking ride that entire place ever had. First off, hanging Omnimover from the ceiling. You move it along. You're seeing the future. Great narration by a husband and wife team that are showing you the life in a bunch of different ways in the future. So like desert farming, underwater exploration, space station living. And then you're seeing their life, their kids, what they're doing, the cool technology they thought we were going to have until we fucked everything up. And then, at the end, you got to choose which way you wanted to go back to the fucking space station you were from. So you either got to travel the desert, through space, or under the water. And, like, the options came up in front of you. It was so interactive for the time. And, like, the group would vote. Everybody who was sitting in the Omnimover, there was 4 choices, so, like, majority ruled. Just... And if they brought that back now with the technology that we have, and gave it, like... a cool dome screen like Soren has at a point, and like the interactivity to like do whatever, and a screen could come down in front of you and you're like fucking
maybe AR.
Yeah, a fucking Horizons, man.
And the animatronic technology now would be, yeah, I did love that ride.
Horizons would be great.
Quick hip fire. As a chef, what's your favorite dish that you've ever prepared?
My favorite dish that I've ever made.
Not very nerdy, but okay, I'll allow it.
Okay. So, like, on this show, we're all artists in our own ways, right? And, like, food is my art form. I'm going to ask Mike a question.
Question within a question.
Are you ever
16 walls.
Are you ever satisfied with anything you draw?
On a very rare occasion. There's a handful of drawings I've done that I don't want to touch because I think I've brought it to an almost perfect place. Now, satisfied, yes. But satisfaction is a very thin line.
I'm never happy with shit I make to the point where I'm just like, this is the fucking thing. Except now baking. There's one item on my menu that has gotten praised a million times. It's not the fucking blueberry cookies. I tell you that right now. But the Elvis cookie might be the thing I'm most proud of that I've created that isn't a human. Dish-wise, though, I don't know, man. It's really hard. I have, like, things that I know are good because of the reaction that everybody gives. So, like, I know my ribs are really fucking good, right? But I eat them, and it just, to me, it's just like, okay, it's good.
There were some flank steaks over the years that were just transcendent.
Right. So I've made some good steaks.
Pesto. Yeah.
The pesto is always a good thing. You know? My pizza dough now, I can say, I'm really fucking happy with.
I am legit proud of you.
Yeah.
For nailing it, for figuring it out. My mom's a great cook. She's always struggled making it kind of even close to what a pizzeria has.
Yeah.
The fact that you've cracked the code, bravo.
Yeah, I have to say that would be it then. I think achievement-wise, it's my pizza dough. Is like, I'm so happy with how consistently good it is now that, like, whenever we figure out what we're doing with our house, and we know for sure that we're going to either spend more time here or wherever we end up is going to be a house for a longer time, I'm going to build a legit pizza oven, because I cannot wait to have my recipe for dough come out of an actual like brick wood fire oven. Oh, shit. That was me. Hang on a second.
Frozen.
There we go.
Weird.
Better. Now we're back.
That was weird. Where were you? Where did you hear me last?
We're still talking about pizza.
Okay, yeah. So I'm saying
you were so happy to have your pizza.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I said that. I was so happy that it's gotten to that level. I want to build an oven. Like a good... Fucking COVID. No, I want to build a good, like, wood-burning oven to have that dough come out of something like that. Because I guarantee you, out of a good, solid pizza oven, it'll be the best pizza anybody will fucking eat.
I'm picturing like Via Napoli and Epcot with those wood-fired ovens, super hot, nice and thin.
My dough's better. Like I have perfected it. I'd say I'm the most happy with that. What was I gonna say? But yeah, food's my art, and I guess let me ask you then. Let me ask you and Mike. What is your favorite thing that I've made for you?
You know the answer.
Joe's is very simple. Joe is a very simple man.
That's true.
I made an Italian grilled cheese at a place that we used to work at, and it's fresh mozzarella, pesto, and prosciutto on really good bread. Mm-hmm. And it's just toasted to perfection. Everything's melted nicely, and it's got the nice little crunch when you fucking cut it. And it's a beautiful thing. That is Joe's favorite.
Actually, there's a second one to that too. Ironically, that Justin can't eat it. Justin made this cavatelli with shrimp. Whatever you did to that, I tried recreating that sauce.
It's come.
And that's why. It's the ironic that you can't eat this dish because it was perfection.
Yeah.
I would either go back to that flank steak like I was talking about. Those are some great moments. Do a really great dry rub on them ribs. And the time you made the Chick-fil-A pizza, I brought the 20-piece over.
Yeah. Joe.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It was fucking delicious.
I'm also thinking about that breakfast pizza.
Yeah, breakfast pizza is good.
And the Joey pizza that you made with the pesto crust. When you made the pizza and you put the pesto along the crust, and oh god, that was so good.
Dress that bitch up.
Oh.
It's funny. I was just trying to have to explain this to someone the other day about I forget who asked me, but they're like, you don't seem to like go out to eat often. I'm like, yeah, there's reasons for that. Not just like monetarily, but so like because I am as analytical as I am about like my food and like food in general, I hate going out because most of the time I'll eat it, but I never enjoy it. I can't remember the last time I ate something out that I was just like, this is fucking incredible. Like I
stuff at Disney.
I was just gonna say
that's the only place, really.
You're kind of forced to because this situation doesn't allow you to cook the way you'd like. Well, maybe this time coming up or August, but it's also they have such high quality foods available.
I think it's variety too. A lot of the problem we have down here or up here, is it's all pizzerias. It's all pizzerias or Chinese restaurants. And it's just like, every once in a while you'll find a good Mexican place, but it's not consistent enough.
Yeah.
But like, I have a favorite pizzeria in Atlantic City that I love to order stuff from. But it's so few and far between because no one else in my house really likes it. James is hit or miss with some of it. But like, Tony Baloney's in Atlantic City is incredible. They do fun, creative shit. And all the flavor combinations I've ever had has worked. I've never had anything out of there that I've disliked. And it's rare for me to find something where I'm just like, I could eat that place over and over again. There is a place up the road, literally up the road from the house, Gourmet, that's okay, but they used to have the best fucking eggplant parm I've had this side of my grandfather's. And then they changed what they did. And it devastated me. Because I finally had a dish that I could just, we're gonna order this. And be like, we're going here in town? I'm just gonna order my eggplant parm from fucking Gourmet. And just, like, it was my happy place. And then they changed it. And I'm fucking miserable about it.
I know that pain. Fucking Carrabba's.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we've got food talk handled.
Yeah.
Let's go to this completely original, never before done questionnaire. All right. What is your favorite word?
Fuck.
Okay, that cuts off one later. What is your least favorite word?
Can't.
Okay. What turns you on?
Artistically or sexually?
What turns you on?
Sexually, it is attention. And creatively, it's imagination.
Imagination.
Are you gonna rape us?
Imagination.
Yeah, there's a bit on the libretto there.
Yeah.
Yeah. What turns you off?
Negativity.
Okay. What sound or noise do you love?
Running water.
Did not expect that one. What sound or noise do you hate?
Whining.
Totally get that.
So you have kids.
What is your favorite curse word?
My favorite curse word?
Yeah.
It's not fuck.
Bet it starts with a C.
I was gonna say it probably does start with a C.
It is. It's a toss up between cock or cunt.
They go together well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, now this last one, given the fact that you have 3 hustles right now, it might be hard to answer. Yeah.
No, I got a new job today.
Oh, sweet mercy. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Oh, that's weird, because I do a lot. So the goal of this whole company to start was, and even beforehand when I was just talking shop with Joe, I've always wanted to write a show or a movie that actually got like made. The closest thing we do now is like starting last year when we do the Christmas stuff. And I love it. I love it so much. But it would be that or a massage therapist.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joe's like, yep.
Yeah. There were days at the restaurant, Justin would be like, Joe,
come here.
Did you just call me over? Yeah, you knew.
To be fair, I would do it to everybody.
Giggity.
Danielle, look, yeah.
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 Who is that in relation to you, Joe?
The boss's wife.
Boss's wife.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thought that was
I've never massaged Joe's sister.
No.
Although that might be a fun bit to work into the third Joe movie.
I think we've done a fair amount of show here. This has been Inside the Nerdaties studio. Totally original idea. Never see or hear anything like this ever again. I have been Mike.
I'm Joe.
And our subject today has been
Justin.
All right. Nerdaties.com.
All that fun stuff. You know the normal stuff. You're not getting
Give us money there.
Yeah. They don't.
It's not a normal show.
It's not a normal show. This is like an Exposing James. It's special.
Yeah, fuck bye.
Fuck bye.
We will end it classic though. Fuck bye.
And why should I care?
Drive!